And so while we were there, we met Raul. And Raul was born in the United States, but raised in Mexico. He's probably in his early 20s. He served us, we had wonderful carne asada and the best refried beans I've ever had. I don't know what it was, but they were incredible. I could eat those all day long. And so he was there serving us, and he had come back to the United States to find his dad. And so when he got back to the United States, he found that his dad was in jail. And so he was left kind of stranded here. His mom in Mexico, he's here. He gets invited into a gang, gets in the whole gang scene. And this guy from El Salvador that we met, Ricardo, comes along and leads Raul to Christ and begins to go through a process of studying the Bible with him. And so Raul begins to grow in this, and as he hears God speak to him through the scriptures, he begins to share with some other people. And one of the people he shares with is Oscar. And we saw pictures, kind of the BC pictures of him. And he's got this big old honking baseball bat, actually a piece of wood about the size of a baseball bat. And he was a pretty violent guy, and he liked to beat people with this baseball bat. And he's got the bandana like really low, and he looks tough, and he's all tatted up. And you're looking at him, and I'm looking at this picture of this guy, and suddenly I realize this was the guy that had been serving me the frijoles, the beans. And this guy has this smile on his face, and he sort of glows. And I couldn't believe that this guy whose picture I'm seeing on the screen is the same guy that had served me these wonderful beans. And so Raul shares the gospel and begins to study the Bible with Oscar. Oscar begins to hear God's voice, begins to obey. Then he tells his mom, Laura, about this. And his mom then begins to share the gospel with her friends. And now, as the result of this one guy coming to Christ, there are 128 disciple-making groups in the U.S. and 3 other countries. And they're telling me these stories of their friends getting deported to other countries and going and starting reproducing movements. It's kind of Acts 8. And I'm sitting there and I see this, and it just, obviously it moves me. And it just is the coolest thing. And these folks, no one's driving this. There's a definition that I love. It comes from a Sri Lankan theologian, Daniel Niles, D.T. Niles. I think that's the origin of it. And he defines evangelism as one beggar telling another beggar where they found bread. That's what this is. These people's lives have been impacted. And we visited these groups story after story. Marvin has some great things about what he read. They all carry these little journals in which they write down the things that God's speaking to them about. And so I saw reproducing groups.